Before you listen to another word, I want you to answer one simple question. Who has the most power over your emotions today? Take a moment. Don't answer too quickly, because the real answer may surprise you. It may not be someone who is still part of your life. It may be someone who walked away months ago, or even years ago. Think about it. One old message, one forgotten photograph, one familiar place, one song you haven't heard in years. And suddenly, your heart feels heavy. Your chest becomes tight. Your mind begins replaying conversations that ended long ago. It feels as though they never really left. But what if I told you, the person hurting you today is no longer the real person? The real person changed. The real person moved on. The real person continued living their life. The one still controlling you is the version your memory quietly keeps alive. And every time you return to that memory, you unknowingly give it more power over your peace. The Buddha taught that suffering does not continue because people stay. It continues because the mind keeps returning to what has already ended. Tonight, you will discover 7 powerful Buddhist truths that reveal why your mind refuses to let them go, why the past still feels more real than the present, and how to finally free yourself, without forcing yourself to forget or pretending the pain never existed. Stay with me until the very end, because the final lesson reveals the one truth that quietly dissolves every emotional attachment. And once you truly understand it, you will never look at your memories the same way again. If you're ready to stop living inside yesterday and finally return to yourself, subscribe to Golden Lotus Wisdom. Take a deep breath, and let's begin. The person is gone, but your memory still gives them power. The first truth may be difficult to accept, but once you truly understand it, everything begins to change. The person who keeps hurting you today may not actually be the person who left. It may be the version of them your memory refuses to let go. Think about that for a moment. The real person may be living somewhere else. They may have completely changed. They may have forgotten the conversation that still keeps you awake at night. They may have moved on with their life, but inside your mind, they are still exactly the same. Their face has not changed. Their voice has not changed. The moment they hurt you has not changed. Your mind keeps returning to that same place, as if time stopped there. That is why you still feel their presence, even though they are no longer part of your life. Have you ever noticed this? You can be having a normal day. You wake up feeling peaceful. You make yourself a cup of tea or coffee. You begin your work. Everything feels fine. Then suddenly, a song begins playing, or you smell a familiar perfume, or you pass a place you once visited together, or someone says their name. Within seconds, your entire mood changes. Nothing happened in the present. No one hurt you today. No new message arrived. No new argument happened. And yet, your heart suddenly feels heavy. Your breathing becomes slower. Your chest feels tight. Your thoughts begin racing. It almost feels as though they walked back into your life, but they didn't. Only the memory did. This is one of the strange powers of the human mind. The mind does not always know the difference between something happening now and something being remembered very deeply. When you replay a painful memory over and over, your brain reacts almost the same way it reacted the first time. Your body releases the same emotions, the same sadness, the same fear, the same loneliness, the same disappointment. This is why old pain can feel completely new. The event may be years behind you, but your nervous system experiences it as if it happened this morning. The Buddha understood this thousands of years ago. He taught that suffering does not continue because the event continues. It continues because the mind continues feeding the event. Life moves forward, but the mind quietly walks backward. Imagine this: a traveler passes through a forest. Along the path, there is one place where they once fell and injured themselves. Years later, every time they return to that forest, they stop at the exact same place. They look down. They remember the fall. They remember the pain. They remember the fear. Nothing dangerous is happening anymore. The ground is safe. The wound healed long ago. But because they stop there every single time, their fear never leaves. Now imagine they finally decide to keep walking. They notice the place. They remember it, but they do not stop. Little by little, the forest becomes beautiful again. This is exactly how healing begins. The memory may still appear, but you stop building a home inside it. Many people believe, "I cannot heal because I still think about them." But thinking about someone is not what keeps you trapped. Returning to the memory every day, believing it is still happening, that is what keeps the pain alive. Your mind has unknowingly created a habit. Every lonely evening, it visits them. Every difficult moment, it visits them. Every disappointment, it visits them. Slowly, the memory becomes the place your mind automatically returns to, not because it enjoys suffering, because the mind always returns to what feels familiar. Even familiar pain can become comfortable, not because it feels good, because it feels known. This is why some people stay trapped for years, not because they loved more than everyone else, but because they repeated the same memory thousands of times. Each replay strengthens it. Each replay makes the emotional pathway inside the brain a little stronger. Imagine walking across a field of grass. The first time, there is no path. But if you walk across the exact same place every single day, soon a trail appears. The grass disappears. The ground becomes hard. Walking that path becomes easier. Your mind works the same way. Every time you replay the same painful memory, you make that mental path stronger. Soon, the mind walks there automatically, without asking your permission. This is why healing is not about forcing yourself to forget. Forgetting is impossible. Healing is teaching your mind to stop walking down the same path. The Buddha reminded his students that everything in life changes. Clouds change, seasons change, trees change. Rivers never hold the same water. People change. You change. The person you remember no longer exists in exactly the same way. Neither do you. But memory does something strange. It freezes people. It captures one version forever. One smile, one goodbye, one betrayal, one painful sentence. It keeps replaying that frozen picture long after real life has moved on. You are no longer responding to the living person. You are responding to a picture inside your own mind. That picture cannot explain itself. It cannot hug you. It cannot tell you the truth. It cannot apologize. It cannot become kinder. It cannot become different. It can only repeat exactly as your memory saved it. This is why chasing the memory never brings peace. You are asking a photograph to have a conversation. You are asking yesterday to become today, and yesterday can never answer you. Real healing begins the day you stop arguing with the memory, not because the memory disappears, but because you finally understand what it really is. The next time their face suddenly appears inside your mind, pause for one moment. Do not panic. Do not follow the story. Simply whisper to yourself, "This is only a memory. Nothing is happening to me right now." The next time your mind starts replaying the last conversation, take one slow breath. Look around the room. Notice the walls. Notice the light. Notice your breathing. Then gently remind yourself that conversation is over. Only the memory is speaking. The next time sadness suddenly rises, place your hand over your heart. Feel your heartbeat and quietly say, "I am safe in this moment. I am here. The past is not happening again." These simple words may seem too small, but small moments of awareness, repeated every day, quietly change the direction of the mind. Little by little, the memory loses its control. Little by little, your attention returns to your real life. Little by little, your heart begins living in today instead of yesterday. This is where true healing begins, not when the memory disappears, but when you stop believing that the memory is your present reality. But the memory is still not the deepest problem, because there is another hidden force, quietly keeping this person alive inside your mind. And until you see it, you will continue returning to them, even after you believe you have let them go. Your mind is not holding them, it is holding the pain they left behind. Sometimes you believe you still cannot let go because you still love them, but love is not always the reason the mind keeps returning. Sometimes you are not holding on to the person, you are holding on to the pain they left inside you. There is a difference. You may not want them back. You may not even trust them anymore. You may know clearly that they were not right for your life, and yet you still think about them. You still replay what happened. You still wonder why they changed. You still ask yourself, why did they treat me that way? Why did they leave without explaining? Why did they promise so much and then give so little? Why was I easy to lose? These questions make you believe that the person still matters. But often, what really matters to your mind is the answer you never received. The human mind does not like unfinished things. It wants a clear beginning, a clear reason, and a clear ending. When a story ends without truth, the mind keeps trying to finish it. It goes back to the last conversation. It studies every word. It remembers every silence. It looks for signs it may have missed. It imagines what it should have said. It imagines what the other person should have said. And sometimes it creates a completely different ending, an ending where they return, an ending where they apologize, an ending where they finally understand your pain, an ending where you feel chosen again. But these endings do not bring peace. They only keep the story open. Imagine watching a film, but just before the final scene, the screen goes dark. You never learn what happened. You never understand why the character left. You never see how the story ends. Your mind would keep thinking about it, not because the film was perfect, because it felt unfinished. This is what emotional pain can do. It leaves the mind standing in the middle of a story, waiting for the final scene. That is why you may still feel connected to someone who is no longer connected to you. The connection may not be love anymore. It may be confusion. It may be rejection. It may be anger. It may be a need to understand. Pain can create a strong bond, sometimes even stronger than love, because love can accept. But pain keeps asking questions. The Buddha taught that suffering grows when the mind demands that reality become different. You wanted honesty, but you received silence. You wanted respect, but you received coldness. You wanted an explanation, but you received distance. You wanted a peaceful ending, but the relationship ended in confusion. Now your mind keeps returning, trying to turn what happened into what should have happened. But the past cannot be repaired inside imagination. You can replay the conversation 1,000 times. You can choose better words. You can imagine a kinder version of them. You can picture the apology you deserved, but when the thought ends, you are still sitting in the present, carrying the same pain. This is because imaginary closure is not real closure. Real closure begins when you understand that some people will never give you the answer you deserve. Not because you are unworthy of an answer, but because they may not have the honesty, the courage, or the emotional depth to give one. Some people leave because explaining would force them to face themselves. Some people stay silent because the truth would reveal their selfishness. Some people avoid apology because apology requires responsibility. And some people simply do not understand how deeply they hurt you. This can be painful to accept, because part of you may still believe that if they finally understand your pain, your heart will become free. But your healing cannot depend on their understanding. Your peace cannot wait for their apology. Your future cannot remain frozen until they explain the past. You may never receive the message you wanted. You may never hear, "I was wrong." You may never hear, "You deserved better." You may never hear, "I know I hurt you," but their silence does not erase your truth. You already know what happened. You know how their actions made you feel. You know what you gave. You know what you lost. You know what you tolerated. You know how many times you ignored your own pain just to keep them close. This inner knowing is enough to begin healing. You do not need them to agree for your pain to be real. You do not need them to admit the truth for the truth to remain true. Many people stay emotionally trapped because they keep waiting for the person who hurt them to become the person who heals them. But think carefully. If they did not protect your heart when they had it, why are you trusting them with your healing now? The person who created the wound may not know how to close it. This does not mean you must hate them. It means you must stop giving them a job they may never be able to do. Your healing is now your responsibility. Not because what happened was your fault, but because your life belongs to you. Imagine someone throws dirt into your home and then walks away. It was not your fault. You did not create the mess. But if you wait for them to come back and clean it, you may live in that mess for years. At some point, you clean the room yourself, not because they were right, not because you forgive everything immediately, but because you deserve a peaceful home. Your mind is that home, and their unfinished actions have been taking up space inside it. Every unanswered question, every imagined conversation, every secret hope that they will return and explain becomes another object filling the room. Healing means clearing that space. You begin by asking one honest question. What am I still waiting to receive from them? Are you waiting for an apology? Are you waiting for regret? Are you waiting for proof that you mattered? Are you waiting for them to admit that losing you was a mistake? Be honest. There is no shame in your answer. Awareness does not judge. It simply reveals. Once you know what you are waiting for, you can stop hiding the real wound. Maybe the deepest pain is not that they left. Maybe it is that their leaving made you feel unimportant. Maybe the deepest pain is not that they lied. Maybe it is that you trusted them, and now you no longer trust yourself. Maybe the deepest pain is not the ending. Maybe it is the feeling that everything you gave meant nothing. This is where healing becomes deeper. You stop only looking at what they did and begin looking at what their actions made you believe about yourself. Did their rejection make you believe you were not enough? Did their silence make you believe your feelings did not matter? Did their betrayal make you believe love is never safe? Did their leaving make you believe everyone eventually disappears? These beliefs are the real wounds, and they need your attention, not their apology. The Buddha taught that awareness brings light to suffering. When you clearly see the belief behind the pain, the belief begins to weaken. You can say, "They left, but that does not mean I am unlovable. They lied, but that does not mean I was foolish to care. They chose another path. But that does not mean my path has no value. They failed to see my worth, but their blindness does not reduce it." These words help you separate their actions from your identity. What they did says something about their choices. It does not tell the full truth about you. When your mind begins another imaginary conversation, pause. Do not let the scene continue automatically. Ask yourself, what am I trying to receive right now? If the answer is an apology, say, "I deserved an apology," even if it never comes. If the answer is understanding, say, "My pain is real," even if they never understand it. If the answer is proof that you mattered, say, "My value does not depend on their ability to see it." This is how you begin giving yourself what you kept waiting to receive from them. It may feel strange at first, because for a long time, your mind believed the key to peace was still in their hands, but it was never there. The key was always awareness. The key was acceptance. The key was choosing not to wait anymore. Closure does not always arrive as a final conversation. Sometimes closure is a quiet decision, a decision that says, "I may never understand everything, but I will not lose more of my life trying." Sometimes closure is accepting that their actions were the answer. Their silence was the answer. Their inconsistency was the answer. Their absence was the answer. Not the answer you wanted, but enough truth to stop waiting. You may still feel sadness. You may still have questions, but you no longer allow those questions to control every day. You stop standing at a locked door, hoping someone will open it. You turn around. You notice another path, and you begin walking. But most people misunderstand what happens next, because when a painful story is repeated for too long, it does not remain only a memory. Slowly, it becomes part of who you believe you are, and the next lesson reveals why letting go can feel like losing a piece of yourself. The story you repeat is quietly becoming your identity. At first, what happened was only an event. Someone hurt you. Someone disappointed you. Someone left. Someone broke your trust. It was painful, but it was still only something that happened. Then the mind began repeating it, again and again and again. You remembered their words. You remembered their face. You remembered the day everything changed. You told the story to yourself so many times that slowly, the story stopped feeling like something from your past. It started feeling like the truth about who you are. This is where pain becomes dangerous. Not because the memory exists, but because the memory begins changing your identity. You stop saying, "Someone left me," and you begin thinking, "People always leave me." You stop saying, "One person betrayed me," and you begin believing, "No one can be trusted." You stop saying, "This relationship failed," and you begin telling yourself, "I always lose the people I love." Do you see the difference? The first sentence describes an event. The second sentence creates an identity. One painful experience becomes a rule. One person becomes everyone. One ending becomes your whole future. This is how the past quietly takes control. The mind does this because it wants to understand pain. It wants a simple answer. It wants to know why this happened. And when no clear answer comes, the mind creates one. It may say, "I was not enough. I was too difficult to love. I cared too much. I was too weak. I am easy to replace. These thoughts may not be true, but when you repeat them often enough, they begin to feel true. The mind becomes used to them. The heart begins to obey them, and your life slowly starts changing around them. You may stop opening up. You may stop trusting. You may push good people away. You may become afraid whenever someone gets close. You may expect rejection before rejection even happens. You may accept poor treatment, because deep inside, you believe this is what always happens to you. The old wound begins making new decisions. That is the real problem. The person may be gone, but the story they left behind may still be choosing how you live. Imagine someone breaks a mirror in your home. The mirror cracks. Now, every time you look into it, your face appears broken. But your face is not broken. The mirror is. This is what pain does. It changes the way you see yourself. You look through a damaged memory and begin believing the damaged picture is you. But it is not you. It is only the view created by the wound. The Buddha taught that the self is always changing. You are not one fixed person. You are not trapped inside one version of yourself forever. Your thoughts change. Your feelings change. Your understanding changes. Your life changes. So why should one painful chapter become the final meaning of your whole life? You were hurt. But you are not only the person who was hurt. You were abandoned. But abandonment is not your name. You were betrayed. But betrayal is not your identity. You were rejected. But rejection does not explain your worth. Something happened to you. That does not mean it became you. This is very important, because sometimes people become so attached to their pain that freedom begins to feel unfamiliar. They know how to be the one who was left. They know how to be the one who was betrayed. They know how to be the one who never received an apology. They have repeated the story for so long that without it, they do not know who they are. This does not mean they enjoy suffering. It means suffering has become familiar, and the mind often chooses familiar pain over unfamiliar peace. Imagine wearing a heavy coat for many years. At first, you wore it because the weather was cold. It protected you. It helped you survive. But now the weather has changed. The sun is warm. The storm is over. Still, you continue wearing the coat. It is heavy. It makes you tired. It slows you down. But you are afraid to remove it, because you have forgotten how it feels to walk without it. Old identities work the same way. Maybe you once told yourself, "I will never trust again." At that time, the thought may have made you feel safe. Maybe you said, "I will never need anyone." That may have helped you survive loneliness. Maybe you decided, "I will never open my heart again." That may have protected you from more pain. But something that protects you for one season can become a prison in the next. The wall that kept pain out may now be keeping love out. The distance that once felt safe may now be keeping peace away. The strong face you created may now be hiding the real you. Healing asks you to look at these old beliefs, not with anger, not with shame, with awareness. Ask yourself, what did this pain teach me to believe about myself? Did it teach you that you are not enough? Did it teach you that love always ends? Did it teach you that people cannot be trusted? Did it teach you that your feelings are too much? Did it teach you that you must prove your worth to be chosen? These beliefs may have formed quietly, but they now affect everything. They affect who you choose. They affect what you accept. They affect how you react. They affect what you fear. They affect what you believe you deserve. This is why the story must be seen clearly. Not so you can blame yourself, but so you can stop living under a rule created by one painful moment. The Buddha taught that awareness is like a lamp. A dark room feels frightening until someone turns on the light. The objects in the room were always there, but now you can see them clearly. Awareness does the same thing. It helps you see, this is a belief, this is an old fear, this is not the whole truth. The next time your mind says, everyone leaves me, pause, ask, is that true, or is one old wound speaking? The next time your mind says, I am not lovable, ask, is this my real voice, or the voice of rejection? The next time your mind says, I can never trust again, ask, am I protecting myself wisely, or am I still obeying the past? These questions create space, and inside that space, a new identity can begin. You can replace, I am broken, with, I am healing. You can replace, I am unlovable, with, I was not loved well by one person. You can replace, I always get left, with, one ending does not decide my future. You can replace, I cannot trust anyone, with, I am learning to trust slowly and wisely. This is not pretending. This is not forcing positive thoughts. This is speaking more honestly. Because pain often speaks in extreme words. Always. Never. Everyone. No one. But life is larger than one memory, and you are larger than one painful chapter. Maybe someone failed to see your value. That does not mean you had no value. Maybe someone did not know how to love you. That does not mean you were hard to love. Maybe someone chose to leave. That does not mean everyone will. Maybe you ignored your own needs to keep them. That does not mean you must keep doing that. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to learn. You are allowed to become someone new. The Buddha did not teach people to protect every old version of themselves. He taught them to see that every version changes. The person you were when the wound happened needed comfort. The person you are now needs freedom. Do not force your present self to keep living by the fears of your past self. Sit quietly for a moment. Think about the story you repeat most. Maybe it is, they left me. Maybe it is, they chose someone else. Maybe it is, they used me. Maybe it is, I gave everything and still was not enough. Now ask yourself, what do I believe this story says about me? Listen carefully. The answer may hurt, but do not run away from it. If the answer is, it says I am not enough, say gently, that is the wound speaking, it is not the truth. If the answer is, it says I am easy to replace, say, their choice does not measure my value. If the answer is, it says love is unsafe, say, one painful love does not define all love. This is how you begin separating the event from your identity. You let the memory remain in the past, without allowing it to become your name. You say, yes, this happened. But you also say, no, this is not all I am. That sentence is powerful, because your life begins changing the moment you stop introducing yourself through your wound. You are not the one they left. You are the one who remained. You are not the one who was destroyed. You are the one who is rebuilding. You are not the one who lost everything. You are the one discovering what was never taken. Your awareness, your dignity, your future, your ability to begin again. But there is another hidden reason why the mind keeps repeating the story. It believes repetition will protect you. It thinks if you remember every detail, you will never be hurt in the same way again. And in the next lesson, you will discover why the mind often mistakes fear for wisdom. Your mind replays the wound Because it believes it is protecting you. There is something almost everyone misunderstands about the mind. People think the mind keeps replaying painful memories because it enjoys suffering. But that is not true. The mind is not trying to punish you. It is trying to protect you. The problem is, it does not always know the difference between protection and imprisonment. Think about a child who touches a hot stove for the first time. The pain teaches the child something important. Be careful. That lesson is useful. Without it, the child might be hurt again. Your emotional mind works in the same way. When someone lies to you, your mind says, "Remember this. Do not let it happen again." When someone betrays you, your mind says, "Study every detail. Find what you missed." When someone suddenly leaves, your mind says, "Keep thinking about it. Next time you will see the warning signs." At first, this seems wise. It feels like learning. It feels like preparing. But slowly, something changes. The mind begins replaying the memory. Not once, not twice, but hundreds of times, then thousands. Soon, it is no longer learning. It is only repeating. Imagine a soldier returning home after a war. The war is over. The danger is gone, but every loud sound still makes the body jump. Every unexpected movement feels threatening. The body is living in the present, but the mind is still living on the battlefield. Many hearts live exactly like this. The relationship ended years ago, but the mind still acts as if the danger is happening today. One late reply feels like abandonment. One small disagreement feels like the beginning of another breakup. One moment of silence feels like rejection, not because these things truly mean danger, but because the old wound speaks before reality has a chance. This is why your reactions sometimes surprise even you. Someone says something simple, and suddenly you feel hurt. Someone forgets to call, and your heart fills with fear. Someone becomes busy, and your mind immediately whispers, "They're leaving too." The present moment did not create these feelings. The past quietly carried them into today. The Buddha understood this deeply. He taught that the mind often lives in illusion, not because reality is false, but because memory keeps covering reality like a dark cloud. Imagine looking through a window covered with old dust. Everything outside looks dull. Everything looks darker than it really is. The problem is not the world outside. The problem is the glass you are looking through. Pain works the same way. It becomes a filter. After betrayal, you begin looking for betrayal everywhere. After rejection, you begin expecting rejection everywhere. After disappointment, you stop expecting happiness. Without realizing it, the old memory becomes the glasses through which you see the entire world. Then something even more dangerous begins to happen. Your mind starts collecting evidence to prove the old story is true. If someone smiles, you enjoy it for a moment. But if someone disappoints you, your mind immediately says, "See, I knew this would happen." Notice what happened. The mind ignored 10 peaceful moments and focused only on the painful one. Why? Because it believes finding danger keeps you safe. This is why some people become exhausted. They are always watching, always analyzing, always preparing, always expecting something to go wrong. They cannot relax. Even when life is peaceful, their mind refuses to rest. Imagine living inside a house with a smoke alarm. That goes off every 5 minutes. Even when there is no fire, even when everything is safe, eventually you stop feeling peaceful inside your own home. This is exactly what constant emotional fear does. Your mind becomes an alarm. that no longer knows when danger has ended. The Buddha taught that wisdom is very different from fear. Fear is loud. Wisdom is quiet. Fear reacts immediately. Wisdom observes first. Fear says, protect yourself from everyone. Wisdom says, see clearly before you decide. Fear believes every thought. Wisdom questions every thought. This difference changes everything. The next time your mind begins replaying an old memory, pause before following it. Take one slow breath. Ask yourself one simple question. What is actually happening right now? Not yesterday, not last year, not inside my imagination. Right now. Look around the room. Notice your breathing. Notice the chair beneath you. Notice the sounds around you. Notice that this moment is completely different from the memory. Then ask another question. Am I seeing this person clearly, or am I seeing someone from my past? This question can save relationships, because many people unknowingly punish new people for wounds created by old people. The new person becomes responsible for pain they never caused. The mind cannot always tell the difference. Until awareness steps in, imagine carrying a heavy shield everywhere you go. At first, the shield protected you during battle. Without it, you may have been hurt. But now the battle is over. Still, you refuse to put the shield down. You carry it into your home, into your friendships, into every conversation, into every new relationship. The shield becomes so heavy that you forget what it feels like to walk freely. This is what emotional protection can become. The thing that once saved you now prevents closeness. It prevents trust. It prevents peace. Healing is not throwing away the shield forever. Healing is learning when you actually need it. The Buddha never taught people to become careless. He taught them to become awake. Awareness does not remove wisdom. It removes unnecessary fear. There is a huge difference. Wisdom learns from pain. Fear lives inside pain. Wisdom remembers, but keeps walking. Fear remembers and refuses to move. Which one has been leading your life? Be honest with yourself. How many opportunities have you avoided because an old memory whispered, "It will happen again"? How many good people have you doubted because one person betrayed your trust? How many peaceful moments have you missed because your mind kept searching for danger? Notice something important. Your mind has been trying to protect your heart, but in doing so, it has also been protecting your loneliness, because every wall that keeps pain out also keeps love out. Every locked door that blocks betrayal also blocks connection. Every fear that says, "Never trust again," also says, "Never fully live again." This is why awareness is so powerful. Awareness gently tells the frightened mind, "Thank you for trying to protect me, but the danger is over." Those words may sound simple, but they begin calming a mind that has been standing guard for years. Sit quietly tonight. Close your eyes. Bring the painful memory into your awareness. Notice what your body feels. Do not fight it. Simply breathe. Then gently say, "I understand why my mind keeps remembering. It believed remembering would keep me safe, but I no longer need to live inside this battle." Repeat those words slowly. Feel what happens inside your body. Perhaps nothing changes immediately. That is okay. The mind learned fear through repetition. It also learns peace through repetition. Little by little, it begins trusting the present again. Little by little, the alarm becomes quieter. Little by little, the shield becomes lighter. Little by little, your attention returns to this moment, where life is actually happening. But what comes next is where true detachment begins, because there is one attachment even deeper than fear. Most people think they are waiting for the person to come back, but they are not. They are waiting for the future. They once imagined with that person, and until they understand this, part of their heart will remain trapped in a life that never truly existed. You are not waiting for them. You are waiting for the future you imagined. This truth is difficult to see, because the mind hides it behind the words, "I miss them." But sometimes you do not truly miss the person. You miss the life you thought you would have with them. You miss the future you created in your mind, the home you imagined, the peaceful mornings, the long conversations, the trips you thought you would take, the problems you believed you would solve together, the version of yourself you thought you would become beside them. This is why losing someone can feel like losing an entire world. You are not only grieving a person, you are grieving plans, you are grieving hope, you are grieving a future that felt real inside your heart, even though it never fully existed in your life. The mind becomes deeply attached to possibility, sometimes more deeply than it becomes attached to reality. Reality may have shown you many warning signs. Maybe they were distant. Maybe they were inconsistent. Maybe they did not protect your feelings. Maybe they only gave you attention when it was easy for them. Maybe you were always the one trying to hold everything together. But your imagination kept showing you who they could become. You did not only love who they were, you loved the person you hoped they would one day be. You loved the future version of the relationship. You loved the idea that one day everything would finally become peaceful. One day they would understand you. One day they would choose you fully. One day they would stop hurting you. One day the love would become equal. The mind can survive inside one day for a very long time, because one day does not ask you to face the truth today. It lets you delay acceptance. It lets you remain connected to hope, even when reality has already ended the story. The Buddha taught that attachment often grows around expectation. We do not only suffer because something ended, we suffer because life did not become what we believed it should become. You thought the connection would last. It did not. You thought your love would be enough. It was not enough to change their choices. You thought the future was certain, but the future only existed inside your mind. This does not make you foolish. It makes you human. The mind naturally builds tomorrow from the feelings of today. When you care about someone, you begin placing them inside future moments. You imagine birthdays. You imagine difficult days. You imagine growing older. You imagine being understood. You imagine finally feeling safe. The more clearly you imagine these things, the more real they begin to feel. Then when the person leaves, the mind does not only lose them, it loses every future scene where they were present. This is why the pain can feel much bigger than the actual relationship. You may have known them for a short time, but inside your mind, you had already lived many years with them. You had already built a home. You had already shared important moments. You had already created a whole life. So when they left, your heart did not only feel one ending, it felt 100 endings at once. The holiday that would never happen, the conversation that would never take place, the promise that would never be fulfilled, the version of you that would never exist beside them. This is why you may still feel as if something is missing. Part of your mind is still waiting for that imagined life to begin. Imagine standing at a train station. You bought a ticket. You packed your bags. You made plans for the journey. You pictured where the train would take you, but then the train was cancelled. At first, you do not believe it. You keep looking down the track. You think there must be a mistake. You tell yourself, maybe it is only delayed. So you wait. An hour passes, then another. The station becomes quiet. Other people leave. The night becomes colder. But you remain there, because walking away would mean accepting that the journey is not going to happen. Many people remain at emotional train stations for years. They are not waiting for the person. They are waiting for the imagined journey. They are waiting for the future. They prepared their heart to enter. This is why a message from the person can create so much hope. One simple hello, and suddenly the entire imagined future returns. The mind immediately begins rebuilding. Maybe they changed. Maybe they finally understand. Maybe this time it will be different. Maybe the old dream is coming back. But one message does not create a new reality. Sometimes it only awakens an old expectation. You must learn to separate what is truly happening from what your hope wants to happen. This is not about becoming cold. It is about seeing clearly. Buddhist wisdom teaches that clear seeing is the beginning of freedom. So ask yourself honestly, do I miss who they truly were? Or do I miss who I wanted them to become? Do I miss the relationship I actually had? Or the relationship I kept hoping to have? Do I miss their real actions or the future promises I created around them? These questions are not easy, because the answers may show you that much of your attachment was connected to imagination. Maybe you were waiting for them to become more loving. Maybe you were waiting for them to become more honest. Maybe you were waiting for them to finally understand your value. Maybe you were waiting for the relationship to become what it never was. And every time reality disappointed you, you escaped back into possibility. You told yourself, not yet. They are still healing. They are afraid. They will understand one day. This love only needs more time. Sometimes patience is beautiful, but sometimes patience becomes the excuse we use to avoid accepting what is already clear. The Buddha taught the middle path, not blind hope, not bitter rejection, clear awareness. Awareness looks at both words and actions. It does not only listen to promises. It notices patterns. It notices whether peace is growing or whether pain is repeating. It notices whether love is being shared or only imagined. You may be holding on because the dream was beautiful. And there is nothing wrong with admitting that. You wanted something meaningful. You wanted to be chosen. You wanted the connection to become safe. You wanted your love to reach a peaceful ending. But wanting something deeply does not make it real. A seed may hold the possibility of a tree, but without water, without light, without care, the tree never grows. You may have loved the seed, you may have imagined the shade, you may have pictured the branches, but if the other person never helped care for it, you cannot spend your whole life sitting beside empty soil. At some point, you must stop loving only the possibility and look at what actually grew. This is not giving up on love. It is stopping yourself from calling hope a relationship. It is stopping yourself from calling waiting a future. It is stopping yourself from living inside a promise that reality never made. There may also be another reason why the imagined future is so difficult to release. Perhaps that future gave you a feeling you do not know how to give yourself. Maybe you imagined finally feeling safe. Maybe you imagined finally feeling important. Maybe you imagined finally being understood. Maybe you imagined that their love would make you feel complete. So when they left, you did not only lose them, you lost the person you believed you would become with them. This is where awareness must become gentle. Do not shame yourself for wanting love. Do not criticize yourself for dreaming. Simply ask, What did I believe this future would give me? Was it peace, belonging, security, worth, a sense of being chosen? When you find the answer, you begin seeing what your heart is truly asking for. Maybe your heart is not asking for them. Maybe it is asking for safety. Maybe it is asking to feel valued. Maybe it is asking for a life with meaning. And these things do not belong to one person. One person is not the only doorway to peace. One relationship is not the only path to belonging. One ending does not destroy your future. The mind may say, "But I wanted that future." Yes, and you are allowed to grieve it. You do not need to pretend it meant nothing. You do not need to become angry. You do not need to destroy every good memory. You can say, "That dream was beautiful to me. I truly wanted it. And I am sad that it did not happen." This is honest grief. But after grief, there must be release. You can also say, "That future lived inside my mind. It is not where my life is going now. I am ready to stop waiting for it." These words may bring pain, but they also bring movement. Because acceptance does not only close a door, it turns your body toward another path. Look at your life today, not the life you imagined, the life you actually have. There may still be beauty here that you have not noticed. There may be people who care. There may be parts of yourself you have not yet met. There may be peace waiting in places you never expected. But you cannot fully enter a new life while one part of you is still standing at the old station. You cannot receive what is here while constantly reaching for what never came. This is why presence matters. The present moment may not look like your dream, but it is real, and only what is real can truly hold you. Sit quietly for a moment. Bring the imagined future into your mind. See the home. See the conversations. See the life you wanted. Do not fight the image. Do not call it foolish. Simply look at it with kindness. Then gently say, "This was a dream I carried. It mattered to me, but it is not my life now." Take one slow breath. Then say, "I release the future that never arrived. I return to the life that is here." You may need to repeat this many times because the mind releases slowly. It may bring the dream back tomorrow. It may rebuild the old future at night. It may whisper, "Maybe one day." When that happens, do not become angry with yourself. Simply return to truth. Look at actions. Look at reality. Look at the present. And remind yourself, I do not need to wait inside an imagined life. This is where true detachment begins. Not when you stop caring, not when you erase the dream, but when you stop asking that dream to become your home. And now, there is an even harder truth waiting, because part of you may understand that the future is gone and still remain trapped. Why? Because the mind is still arguing with the past. It is still saying, "This should not have happened. They should have treated me differently. They should have stayed." But peace cannot begin while you are still asking yesterday to change what it has already done. Letting go begins when you stop asking the past to change. There is a quiet fight happening inside many people. They say they want peace. They say they want to move on. They say they are tired of thinking about the past, but deep inside, a part of them is still arguing with what happened. It is still saying, "They should not have done that. They should have chosen me. They should have told me the truth. They should have treated me better. They should have understood how deeply I cared." And maybe you are right. Maybe they should have been honest. Maybe they should have respected your heart. Maybe they should have stayed true to their words. Maybe they should have given you the kindness you gave so freely to them. but there is one painful truth. The mind does not want to accept. The past does not change. Even when your pain is completely valid, you can be right and still remain trapped. You can clearly see what they did wrong and still lose years of your life waiting for yesterday to become fair. This is where suffering becomes deeper, because now you are no longer only hurt by what happened, you are hurt by the belief that it should have happened differently. The Buddha taught that pain is part of life, but suffering grows when the mind fights reality. This does not mean you should accept bad treatment. It does not mean you should call betrayal good. It does not mean you should welcome harmful people back. It means something much simpler. You stop asking the past to become a different past. Think about a cup that falls to the floor and breaks. You may wish it had not fallen. You may feel sad. You may remember how much it meant to you. But no matter how many times you say, "It should not have broken," the pieces remain on the floor. At some point, you must decide, will you keep standing over the broken cup, arguing with what happened? Or will you carefully pick up the pieces, protect your hands, and continue living? Acceptance is not saying, the cup did not matter. Acceptance is saying, it mattered. And it is still broken. This is the point where healing becomes real. Many people confuse acceptance with approval. They think, if I accept what happened, it means they were right. But that is not true. Acceptance does not free them from responsibility. It frees you from endless resistance. You can accept that someone lied, without saying the lie was acceptable. You can accept that someone left, without saying they had the right to hurt you. You can accept that the relationship ended, without pretending it meant nothing. Acceptance simply says, this happened. I cannot return to that moment. I cannot force another ending, but I can decide what happens inside me now. That is where your power returns. Before acceptance, your peace still depends on the past. After acceptance, your next step belongs to you. Maybe your mind is still waiting for an apology. It imagines the person returning. It imagines them saying, I finally understand what I did. I should never have treated you that way. You deserved better. I regret losing you. The mind believes these words would remove the pain. And perhaps hearing them would bring some comfort. But would they return the lost time? Would they erase the nights you cried? Would they change the choices they made? Would they rebuild the trust exactly as it was? An apology may bring understanding, but it cannot change history. This is why your freedom cannot depend on words that may never come. Some people never apologize, not because you did not deserve one, but because apologizing requires courage, it requires honesty, it requires looking at your own actions without hiding. Not everyone has the strength to do that. Some people would rather protect their image than admit they caused pain. Some people know they hurt you, but they avoid you because your presence reminds them of their actions. Some people create a new version of the story, so they do not have to feel guilty. And some people may never fully understand how deeply their choices affected you. If your healing depends on their awareness, you may remain trapped for a very long time. You must understand this clearly. Their lack of apology does not mean your pain was small. Their silence does not mean you imagined what happened. Their refusal to take responsibility does not make you wrong. The truth remains true, even when the other person refuses to speak it. This is why closure is often something you must give yourself. Closure is not always a final conversation. Sometimes closure is seeing the pattern clearly. Sometimes closure is accepting that their actions answered the question. They said they cared, but their actions showed distance. They promised honesty, but their choices showed deception. They said you mattered, but they treated your feelings as if they did not. You may still want a better answer, but sometimes behavior is the only answer you will receive. And when you accept that, you stop waiting at a closed door. Imagine standing outside someone's home, knocking every day. You want them to come out. You want them to explain. You want them to say the words. That will finally bring peace. But the door remains closed. Days pass, then months, then years. The door does not open. At some point, the greatest act of self-respect is not knocking harder. It is turning around, not because you stopped caring, because you finally understood that your life cannot remain outside one closed door. There are other paths, other places, other mornings, other people, other parts of yourself, waiting to be discovered. But you cannot see them, while your eyes remain fixed on what will not open. This is why letting go is not weakness. It takes great strength to stop waiting for fairness from the past. It takes strength to accept that someone may never understand. It takes strength to walk forward without the apology. It takes strength to choose peace when anger feels more familiar. Many people hold on to anger because anger makes them feel powerful. Sadness feels weak. Loss feels empty. But anger gives the mind something to hold. It says, I will never forget. I will never forgive. They will never be free from what they did. But look closely. Who is truly being held? The other person may be sleeping peacefully. They may be living their life. They may not even know that the argument continues inside your mind. You are the one carrying it. You are the one waking up with it. You are the one feeling it in your body. Anger can feel like a weapon, but when you carry it for too long, it becomes a weight. The Buddha compared anger to holding something hot, while hoping another person will be burned. The longer you hold it, the more your own hand suffers. Forgiveness is the moment you decide to put it down. But forgiveness is often misunderstood. Forgiveness does not mean you must speak to them again. It does not mean you must trust them again. It does not mean you must forget the lesson. It does not mean you must pretend everything is fine. Forgiveness means I will no longer allow what you did to control what I feel every day. It means you may be part of my past, but you will not own my future. It means I release the hope that pain will somehow change what happened. You are not forgiving because they deserve access to you. You are forgiving because you deserve freedom from them. Imagine carrying a bag filled with stones. Each stone has a name: anger, regret, blame, guilt, rejection, the need for an apology, the need to be understood. At first, you tell yourself, I must carry these stones. They prove what happened mattered. But your pain does not need proof. Your tired body already knows. Your heart already knows. You do not honor your past by carrying its weight forever. You honor yourself by learning from it and then putting the stones down, one by one. Maybe you are also carrying guilt. Maybe your mind says, I should have seen the signs. I should have left earlier. I should not have trusted them. I should have known better. This is another way. The mind asks the past to change. Now you are not only arguing with their actions, you are arguing with your own past self. You look back with today's knowledge and judge the person you were then. But the person you were then did not know what you know now. They were hoping. They were trusting. They were trying to save something. They were making choices with the understanding they had at that time. Do not punish your past self for not having future wisdom. That is unfair. You can learn without attacking yourself. You can say, I missed the signs, without saying, I was foolish. You can say, I stayed too long, without saying, I deserved what happened. You can say, I trusted the wrong person, without saying, I can never trust myself again. Self-forgiveness is also part of release. Because sometimes the person you are most angry with is yourself. You may forgive them before you forgive yourself, but true peace requires both. Sit quietly. Think of the version of you who went through that pain. See them clearly. See how much they cared. See how confused they were. See how hard they tried. Instead of judging them, say, you did the best you could with what you understood. I forgive you for staying. I forgive you for hoping. I forgive you for not seeing everything. I will protect you now. With wisdom, not shame. These words may bring tears. Let them come. Sometimes tears are the body's way of releasing a fight it has carried for too long. The Buddha taught that everything changes. This includes pain. This includes anger. This includes the story you have repeated. Nothing must remain forever, unless the mind keeps feeding it. The past happened once, but resistance can make it happen inside you every day. Acceptance ends the second wound. The first wound was what they did. The second wound is the daily fight against the fact that it happened. You may not have been able to stop the first wound, but awareness can stop the second. The next time your mind says, this should never have happened, gently answer, I wish it had been different, but I accept that it happened. The next time your mind says, they must explain, answer, I may never receive every answer, but I already know enough to move forward. The next time your heart says, they should come back and fix this, say, my healing does not need their return. The next time anger rises, do not shame yourself. Notice it. Breathe. Then ask, is this anger protecting me or keeping me connected? Sometimes anger protects a boundary. That is useful. But sometimes anger becomes a rope, tying you to the person you want to escape. You must learn the difference. A healthy boundary says, you cannot enter my life again. Attachment says, I will keep fighting you inside my mind. One protects your peace. The other keeps giving away your attention. You can close the door without standing behind it forever. You can learn the lesson without reading the same page every night. You can remember what happened without asking it to happen differently. Try this awareness practice. Sit somewhere quiet. Take one slow breath. Bring the painful event into your mind. Do not replay every detail. Simply notice that it happened. Then say, I cannot change that moment. Pause. Breathe again. Then say, I can change how much of today I continue giving to it. Pause once more. Then say, I release the need for the past to become fair. I release the apology I may never receive. I release the version of me who is still waiting there. I choose to return to my life. Do not force the words. Speak slowly. Let your body hear them. You may need this practice many times, because letting go rarely happens in one moment. It happens in layers. One day, you release the need for an explanation. Another day, you release the imagined future. Another day, you forgive yourself. Another day, you remember them and feel nothing but distance. This is healing. Not one sudden miracle, but many quiet choices that slowly bring you home. You will know release is beginning when you stop asking, why did this happen to me? and begin asking, "What can I learn from this?" You will know release is growing. When their name no longer changes your entire day, you will know release is becoming freedom when you no longer need them. To become a different person, for you to become peaceful. But one final truth remains. The goal is not to erase every memory. The goal is not to become cold. The goal is not to forget that you cared. The deepest freedom begins when the memory can appear without pulling you away from yourself, and in the final lesson, you will discover how to return fully to the present, so the person who left your life can no longer continue living through your attention. The moment you leave the memory, you return to yourself. The final truth is the one your mind has been avoiding. You do not become free when the memory disappears. You become free when the memory appears, and you no longer follow it. This is the difference between remembering and returning. A memory may visit you. That is natural. A name may enter your mind. A song may bring back a moment. A place may remind you of what happened. But the memory does not have to become a doorway that pulls you back into the past. You can notice it without entering it. You can feel it without becoming it. You can remember without giving it your whole day. This is true freedom. Many people think healing means one day they will completely forget. They believe the person's face will disappear. The pain will never return. The old story will no longer enter the mind. But this expectation creates more suffering. Because memory does not always leave in a straight line. Some days you feel strong. Some days the past feels far away. Then one small reminder appears, and suddenly the pain returns. When this happens, you may think, "I am not healing. I am back at the beginning. I will never be free." But that is not true. Healing is not proved by never remembering. Healing is proved by how you respond when the memory returns. Before, the memory controlled you. It entered your mind and took your attention. It changed your mood. It changed your breathing. It changed the rest of your day. Now, awareness allows you to see it. You notice, a memory is here. You take a breath. You stay in the room. You feel your feet on the ground. You remind yourself, this happened before. It is not happening now. Then you let the memory pass. That is progress. The Buddha often compared thoughts and feelings to things that rise and fall, like waves in the ocean. A wave appears, it grows, it reaches its highest point, then it falls. No wave stays forever, but when you become afraid of the wave, you fight it, you push against it, you think, this feeling must stop, and the struggle makes it feel stronger. Awareness teaches another way. Let the wave rise, let it move, let it fall. You do not need to chase it. You do not need to drown inside it. You only need to remain present until it passes. Imagine sitting beside a river. Leaves are floating on the water. Each leaf carries a thought. One leaf says, "They should have stayed." Another says, "I was not enough." Another says, "Maybe they will come back." Another says, "I will never feel peace again." You can jump into the river and chase every leaf. Or you can remain on the shore and watch them pass. The thoughts may still appear, but you do not have to travel with them. This is what the Buddha meant by awareness. You are not every thought you think. You are the one who notices the thought. You are not every feeling that rises. You are the one who sees the feeling. You are not the memory. You are the awareness in which the memory appears. This truth changes everything, because the memory can no longer control you once you stop treating it like a command. A thought is not an order. A feeling is not a fact. A memory is not the present. It is only something passing through the mind. For a long time, you may have believed that thinking about them meant you still needed them. But sometimes, a thought is only an old habit. For a long time, you may have believed that pain meant the connection was still alive. But sometimes, pain is only the body releasing what it carried. For a long time, you may have believed that missing them meant you should return. But sometimes, missing someone only means a part of you is remembering what once felt familiar. Familiar does not always mean right. Familiar does not always mean safe. Familiar does not always mean meant for you. This is where wisdom becomes stronger than emotion. You do not have to obey every feeling. You can respect the feeling without allowing it to make your decisions. You can say, "Yes, I miss them," and still not contact them. You can say, "Yes, this memory hurts," and still choose peace. You can say, "Yes, part of me still wishes things were different," and still accept that they are not. Two truths can exist together. You can care and let go. You can remember and move forward. You can forgive and keep the door closed. You can feel sadness and still build a beautiful life. This is emotional freedom. It is not becoming empty. It is becoming steady. But there is something even deeper. For a long time, you have been giving so much attention to the person who left that you may have forgotten the person who stayed. You stayed. You stayed through every difficult night. You stayed through the silence. You stayed when your mind would not stop. You stayed when your heart felt heavy. You stayed when you did not understand what happened. You stayed when the future felt empty. You were there through all of it. And yet, how often did you speak gently to yourself? How often did you ask what you needed? How often did you care for your own pain? Instead of only wondering why they caused it, how often did you choose your peace? Instead of choosing the memory, the person who left may have abandoned you once. But every time you leave the present to chase them inside your mind, you abandon yourself again. This may sound painful, but it is also powerful, because if your attention can leave you, it can also return. You can come back. You can stop standing beside the closed door. You can stop waiting at the empty station. You can stop repeating the old conversation. You can stop asking the past to become something it never was. You can return to the person who has been waiting for your care, yourself. The Buddha's path always brings attention back to what is here. The breath that is happening now, the body that is sitting here, the sounds around you, the light in the room, the life that still exists. The present moment may seem ordinary, but it is the only place where freedom can happen. You cannot heal yesterday, inside yesterday. You can only heal its effect by becoming aware today. You cannot live tomorrow while standing inside an old memory. You can only create the future by returning to this moment. This is why the breath is so powerful. It is always here. It does not live in the past. It does not argue with the future. It simply arrives and leaves, one breath at a time. The next time the memory appears, try this. Do not close your eyes immediately. Look around you. Name 5 things you can see. Notice 4 things you can feel. Listen for 3 sounds. Take 2 slow breaths. Then say 1 sentence, "I am here now." These words bring you back. Not because they erase the memory, because they remind you where your life is actually happening. You may also place your hand on your heart. Feel the movement beneath your palm. Then say, "I stayed. I am still here. I will not leave myself again." Speak slowly. Let the words reach the part of you that has been waiting for care. This practice may feel simple now, but freedom is often built from simple things, repeated with awareness. Each time you return to the present, you weaken the habit of returning to the past. Each time you notice the memory, without following it, you build a new path inside the mind. Each time you choose yourself, you take back a little more power. Imagine two roads. One road leads to the past. You know it well. You have walked it thousands of times. It leads to the same questions, the same pain, the same ending. The other road leads to the present. At first, it may feel unfamiliar. It may feel quiet. It may even feel empty. But the more you walk it, the clearer it becomes. That road leads to peace. It leads to new thoughts, new people, new understanding, a new relationship with yourself. At first, the old road will still call you. The mind will say, "Go back one more time." Think about what they said. Imagine what could have happened. Check if they still remember you. But awareness will answer, "I already know where that road leads." That sentence is powerful. You do not need to walk the same road to learn the same lesson again. You already learned it. Now it is time to live differently. One day, something will happen. You will hear their name. You will see a place that reminds you of them. You will remember a moment that once destroyed your peace, and you will notice your heart is still calm, not cold, not bitter. Calm. You will not need to hate them. You will not need to prove anything. You will not need them to regret losing you. You will simply see that they no longer control your inner world. The memory may still exist, but it no longer owns your attention. This is when you will understand. You did not need to forget them. You only needed to remember yourself. You needed to remember that your life is larger than one person. Your future is larger than one ending. Your worth is larger than one rejection. Your heart is larger than one wound. Your awareness is larger than every memory passing through it. The Buddha taught that attachment creates suffering, because the mind holds tightly to what changes. But freedom begins when you allow life to move. The person changed. The relationship changed. The future changed. You changed. Let the past remain where it belongs. Do not drag it into every new morning. Do not place it inside every new relationship. Do not make every peaceful moment pay for an old painful one. You are allowed to begin again. You are allowed to feel safe again. You are allowed to trust slowly. You are allowed to laugh without guilt. You are allowed to build a future that looks different from the one you imagined. You are allowed to live, even if they never understand what they did. You are allowed to become peaceful. Even without the apology, you are allowed to move forward, even if part of you once believed you never could. Remember this: they may have hurt you in the past, but they can only continue controlling you through the attention you keep giving the memory. Your attention is your life. Where attention goes, your emotional world follows. If your attention lives in yesterday, your heart keeps suffering there. If your attention returns to now, your heart slowly comes home. So bring it back. Bring your attention back from the last conversation. Bring it back from the unanswered questions. Bring it back from the future that never happened. Bring it back from the apology that never came. Bring it back from the person who left. Bring it back to your breath. Bring it back to your body. Bring it back to your life. Bring it back to yourself. And whenever the mind tries to pull you away again, do not fight it. Simply say, "The moment is over. I am here now. Repeat it until your body begins to believe it. The moment is over. I am here now. This is not only a sentence, it is a doorway. A doorway out of memory. A doorway out of waiting. A doorway out of the identity created by pain. A doorway back into your own life. The person may have left long ago, but today, you can finally stop following them. You can stop rebuilding them inside your mind. You can stop giving yesterday the power to decide how today feels. And perhaps one quiet morning, you will wake up and realize you did not think about them first. You will move through your day without carrying the old weight. You will feel light, without knowing exactly when the change happened. That is how healing often arrives, not with noise, not with one dramatic moment, but quietly. One breath, one choice, one return at a time. Then you will finally understand. The person was never living inside your life. They were living inside your memory. And the moment you stopped living inside that memory, their control ended. The memory became a lesson. The wound became wisdom. The ending became space. And you finally returned to yourself. Before you leave, take one slow breath and remember this one truth. The person who hurt you does not live in your life anymore. They only live where your attention keeps returning. The moment you stop feeding the memory, you begin feeding your peace. The moment you return to yourself, their control quietly ends. May you walk away from this moment a little lighter, a little wiser, and a little freer than before. If this teaching spoke to your heart, write these words in the comments. I choose peace over the past. It is not just a comment, it is a promise to yourself. And if you want more timeless Buddhist wisdom to help you free your mind, calm your heart, and awaken your inner peace, subscribe to Golden Lotus Wisdom. Until we meet again, protect your attention, because where your attention lives, your life follows.